that's lame. I thought I was live.
Branding.
I thought I was live.
Woo! Look at that.
Oh no.
Look at that logo.
Alright, well, we'll just go through the whole thing I already did. So we went through the sectors already, went through the indices, nobody was there. Alright, well, we'll just start over again then. We'll just performative go through all the things. So we took a picture of this. The indices ended with a little bit of a gain for the week, breaking some of that full-on downtrend that's going on, but I still think things are a little bit bearish. And our best gainers on the week were Apple, Microsoft, Berkshire, ESM, some of these defensive names I would say, and then like Nvidia, Amazon, Google were down, and Meta was down, Tesla was down. So kind of these, you know, let's call them movers, or, you know, growthy names are not doing so well. Trading for this is a longer time frame. Let's go back to the overview and go for the week. This actually, and a lot of the trades were rolls. I did do some day trading, but that's probably why I'm down. Probably stop that. For trade ideas based on the performance of the sectors and the indices, the best performing sectors are XLE, XLF, XLV, and XLC, so I'll look for trades in there. I guess we could do one of those now. It's kind of where I was at when I realized the stream wasn't even on. I don't know, we'll get like, try to get maybe 30 more minutes out of the stream. Since I wasn't streaming. Oh goodness. That's kind of a first. I thought I pressed the button, but I guess I didn't. We could do energy. Then we could do optional, since that was one of the high performing ones. Let's do it by volume. Let's go look at the charts. Some breakouts here. That's still one that's behind. I'm just not inspired, man. Not really inspired at all. I'll put some Pfizer. That big red bar. And Gilead came back in. It's hitting its moving average. Maybe there's a trade there. Maybe in Bristol Myers. Johnson & Johnson is trying to get above that level. AbbVie came back in. Okay. Medtronic. That came back in. It's in an uptrend. Maybe there's an idea there. We could write that down. I don't know what this stock looks like, but Medtronic. Man, this thing. I'm holding the bag, I'll tell you about that. Maybe Boston Scientific down here. I don't know, nothing's just like, it's like, I'm not like, yeah, let's go buy that, you know. I don't know. Why is DoorDash? I guess because it was being added to the S&P. Meta's at support. That's something to watch. If Meta loses whatever this level is. What is that? 573. If it loses 573, and it was up to 750. Jesus. So it could come up to 625 or 650. It could make a big move. Try to get back above that moving average. Will it stay there? I don't know. I have no idea. But it looks like it's found support. As long as it doesn't make a new low. It hasn't made a new low for a few days, but then it also did that here. It didn't make a low for a few days, and then it made a new low. So, we just have to see if it makes a new low. I think that's... I don't know. I don't trade meta, so I don't know. Of this, what would I trade? I don't even know. Just not even inspired. Maybe sell puts here if you're feeling spicy. I don't know what the Pinterest situation looks like. I don't really want to own that stock though. Not great. And nothing's like jumping out at me or inspiring me at all. I mean, other than like a bounce for this week, it could do it too when the market opens. It might even just do it then, and you may or may not even have a chance to get in. But look how far apart these Bollinger Bands are. They have to come back together. So it has to go back up. And this is probably going down. Yeah, I mean, it's just going down to there. It's like it's crashing. Yeah, I mean, these are due for a bounce. You're probably short the euro, and then you're long everything else. So we'll benefit from that to some extent. How far it keeps going, we don't know. We don't know how long that'll keep going. So I would expect maybe a bounce this week, so we'll gain on some of our other positions. If I can get even on anything, maybe I'll get rid of some of my bags. Consider selling a put on Monday if I can, if the market allows that, in TQQQ and maybe in IBIT. So that's kind of what I'll focus on this week. We can go look at some of the news if there's anything. Oh, .com reckoning, let's go. Uh, 25 years ago, .com bubble. The technology this time is artificial intelligence after a while, so we're a rally. That's it. August. But wait, doesn't that suggest that it could like explode even higher? This is telling me I should stay in. Like this little chart's like, you ain't seen nothing yet. Fear and greed. The main difference between the document, however, is the degree that the most recent boom, but it pales in comparison to the extremes of the internet bubble. The internet was such a big idea, had such a transformative impact. That's true. Are very different. Yeah, they don't really, it doesn't really touch every aspect of your life yet. S&P valuations over the past 3 decades. S&P price to earnings ratio. Valuing for Wall Street even invented new measures like mouse clicks, eyeballs. Amazon. Thing out again. I don't know. I mean, if it's a boom, it's in the beginning. A reckoning? How? We're not a reckoning until you get to the other side of the dot-com boom. I didn't read that very deeply. See what the Wall Street Journal says. Net flows into US-based ETFs and invest predominantly in... Oh, this story's been going around. Everybody's investing in European stocks. Now that could be something to think about. Huh. Showed signs of promise. They're supposedly going to spend more money. Producer prices, yep, we'll have that this week. Domestic companies have strong outlooks, poised to dominate the gold market in the long run. That's true. I think that's true. Maybe just for a trade you could do these. But long-term growth, I think, is better in America. Although, I don't really know how tariffs will change things. This houses the world's top talent of companies. Hasn't given up on America. 27 countries in the EU. You've got 27 different cultures, languages, and retirement ages. I think the US will always outperform Europe, but during certain periods, like right now, we're going to see a little pockets of opportunity. All right, well, maybe we'll find a little pocket of do they even tell you the ETFs that people are buying? Like, oh, ETFs. Which ones? Can you tell me which ones? No, it doesn't tell me which ones. It doesn't tell me which ones to go look at. That's kind of silly. Like, tell me which ones to go look at then. Would FinViz tell me that? We want Fs. Sony? Sony. That's weird. These aren't ETFs, I know that. Uber? This does. I'll have to do another deep dive. But I'll look into that though. Uber? Uber, you're fine. Books are always fun to look at. Why does he say where? Oh. Oh, goodness. Goobus, come in here, Goobus. Goobus is screaming. Task of assembling the memories. Huh. I do need to read more, Oh, is this another one? Oh, this goes way back then. This is way back Hunger Games. I watched all the movies, but I didn't read the books. See here, is there anything here? Oh yeah, this story.
The $32 billion wizards who picked the best time to start a company. The worst time. Google just made its biggest deal ever for Wiz, a cybersecurity startup founded only 5 years ago. It's even unlikelier than it sounds. By Ben Cohen. March 21st, 2025. 9 p.m. Eastern Time. There are good times to start a company, bad times to start a company, and March 2020. As it happens, that's when 4 Israeli tech entrepreneurs decided to start their latest company. Within days, the founders of a cybersecurity startup called Wiz began to worry that they had made a terrible mistake. They had left stable jobs right before a pandemic sparked the most extraordinarily unstable moments of their lifetimes. Markets freaked. Fear spiked. It seemed like they had managed to pick the worst possible time to start a company. In retrospect, said Asaf Rappaport, Wiz's chief executive, that was the best timing to start a company. In fact, if you asked him to choose the single greatest time in history to start a company that specializes in cloud security, he says he would pick March 2020. And it would be hard to argue with him after this past week, when Google parent Alphabet agreed to buy Wiz for $32 billion. It's by far the biggest deal in Google's history and one of the biggest ever in Silicon Valley. It's also bigger than the $23 billion deal Google tried to make for Wiz just last summer, before talks fell apart. And it's much bigger than anyone would have imagined 5 years ago, when the only thing that felt like it was falling apart was the entire world. But it turns out there is a long history of crises and chaos producing wildly successful companies at the exact moment when you might least expect it. Dark times, not boom times, are great times to start companies, says Doug Leone, a Sequoia capital partner who led the firm's early Wiz investment. It's a counterintuitive theory, so I asked him to elaborate. In dark times, he explained, there is usually less hiring competition and fewer lookalike companies pursuing the same ideas. These moments of uncertainty also tend to attract the sorts of entrepreneurs with the right amount of chutzpah, the ones who just can't help themselves and can't go to sleep at night because they're so excited about starting a company, Leone said. Sift through the wreckage of dark times, and it won't take long to find a company that rose from the ashes. Hewlett-Packard emerged from the Great Depression. Uber and Airbnb came out of the 2008 financial crisis. Google itself benefited from the abundance of cheap real estate and engineering talent after the dot-com bust. But perhaps never has a company become so valuable in so little time and under such peculiar circumstances as Wiz. Long before they signed the deal that would make them all billionaires, Rappaport met co-founders Ami Lutwak, Roy Resnick, and Yinon Kostica as soldiers in 2001. They were recruited to Unit 8200, the elite intelligence division of the Israeli army that has also become a world-class tech incubator. These days, Unit 8200 pumps out cybersecurity entrepreneurs like the University of Alabama produces NFL players. After leaving the military, their first startup was another cloud security company they founded in 2012 and sold in 2015 for $320 million.
So this is their second
to Microsoft,
deal.
where Rappaport led the tech giant's research and development in Israel until he left in early 2020. It was time to build his next startup. Wiz's software was developed to help companies fortify their cloud systems, recognizing and fending off hacks, threats, and other security risks. Over time, the startup raised $1.9 billion from some of the world's richest people and prominent venture capitalists who stand to make a killing from the all-cash Google deal. In the beginning, Rappaport and his co-founders knew they would be able to get funding. What they didn't know was what they wanted to do with it. They spent a few weeks toying with cybersecurity ideas around a table in Tel Aviv before deciding that Wiz would focus on the cloud, just in time to be engulfed by dark clouds. That was the moment when even Rappaport questioned his own wisdom. To run a startup, that's risky, he said a year later. To run a startup during a pandemic, that's never done before. Of all the people who found themselves running startups during the pandemic, Wiz's founders had several advantages working in their favor. By then, they had known each other for decades and didn't have to be in the same room to collaborate. They also knew how their skills and personalities complemented each other's. They even had the same investors from their last startup. And it turned out they had impeccable timing, too. They couldn't have predicted it, but COVID would dramatically accelerate a race to the cloud and the growth of their company. I know you'd rather sit through a lecture on cloud security than spend another second reliving the pandemic, but stay with me here. At the beginning of March 2020, most Chief Information Security Officers, CISOs, would have said they were perfectly comfortable with their cloud protection. But the Wiz founders had the vision to see the business was shifting. Data was already moving from servers hosted locally on a company's physical servers to the digital cloud. And that migration was about to be turbocharged. By the end of March 2020, they looked prescient. As companies embraced remote work, they exposed themselves to all kinds of vulnerabilities that hackers were ready to exploit. Software for better cloud security might have been considered a niche product at any other point in history, until it became a priority for just about every major company on the planet. One unexpected benefit of starting a company during a pandemic is that meetings that would have taken weeks to arrange took days or hours. Since the Wiz founders couldn't go anywhere, they suddenly could meet anyone anytime. And everyone wanted to meet them. Any company going from zero to a $32 billion deal in 5 years seems a bit like wizardry. For Wiz, it was mostly the result of strategy. The key insight behind this company was that as security threats got more complex, Wiz's product had to get simpler. Even when they were in stealth mode, Wiz's founders had an unusual clarity about the product they wanted to build. And because of the circumstances, they could hire some of the best engineers in Israel to help build it. What they built was so effective that Wiz employees could install it on a sales call and identify a company's threats by the time they hung up. It was intuitive enough that any CISO could quickly learn how to use it, but comprehensive enough that CISOs actually wanted to use it. It was also weirdly fun to use. Most people treat enterprise software like they're trying to punish you, said Neil Mehta, the founder and managing partner of Green Oaks Capital, a Wiz investor. This is actually a delightful product, the first time I've ever said that about cybersecurity. All of which explains why the company's value skyrocketed over 5 years, and even since last summer. After negotiations with Google fizzled less than 9 months ago, Wiz grew so much that the deal got $9 billion sweeter. Now the price was right. And this time, so was the timing. Write to Ben Cohen at ben.cohen@wsj.com.
All right then. Didn't really say what they did. Huh. That'd be billionaires. That's crazy. What did they do though? Like what exactly are they, what's the value add to Google?
dealing with cybersecurity issues in our modern age is like skiing on the ice that is broken in the river. The river is moving, the ice is moving, and you have to skate it. So you don't necessarily know what is the next move that you're gonna make, but you always know that there is a move that you have to make. So Bridgewater is the largest hedge fund in the world. We try to figure out how the economic world works and take advantage of that on behalf of our customers. And in order to do so, we have to be both secure, efficient, and ahead of the game.
We've put a lot of energy and time into getting the cloud right and figuring out how to use the cloud. And we put a lot of time and energy into figuring out how to secure the cloud. You have interactions between clouds, you have interactions between identities, you have interactions at the data plane. All these different levels, you have interactions that you have to try to reason through and figure out that question. Wiz is really the only company that we've found that is taking this approach that we want to get the inventory, we want to pull it all in, we want to then build the graph on top of it, and then we want to start to do analytics on top of it. One of the things we really were attracted to with Wiz was that you could take Wiz and deploy it all via control plane actions. And within hours, days, you had the full power of Wiz explaining to you what was going on in your environment.
From the point of engagement to the point of ROI, it was infinite because we haven't even paid and we already got the results. So it was easy to choose Wiz because nowhere else was doing it so quickly.
We wanted to not have people in the middle between our development teams and the issues that they needed to fix. Wiz has done a very good job of creating the right kind of construct so you can easily distribute this work and not just keep it as a security or cloud governance team. So we did that very early on and have had great success and great adoption by the development teams as well.
The world of cybersecurity and the game of cybersecurity is asymmetric. It takes a huge amount of effort to protect the environment, yet it takes only one breach to break everything that you may have. And
So they're going to integrate this into Google then?
multi-cloud environment and utilizing the power of security graph to deliver results is what I fundamentally believe will change the security landscape over the next decade. I don't think about Wiz as the tool.
So this will be
that's
built
better
into
than other
Google
people.
then.
They're pioneers.
But then what about the people that are already customers? They have to switch over to
Thought
Google?
process of how they approach security problems and exposing that to the world.
Interesting story. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Gotta get my short out later, so I'll make sure to do that. But might do one more scam, but I really want to focus on this, focus on the trades that I have. Maybe sell some puts. We'll see. I really need to supercharge what I'm taking out, though. What's actually being realized. I gotta think about that too. How we can supercharge this. And maybe break even. Yeah. Sorry I wasn't on for the first hour. My goodness. Thought we went through the markets, went through the trades. We have the best and worst performers of the week. We have some things to think about, and I need to set up my short. I will do that shortly. But remember, this is for educational and informational purposes only, not intended to be a recommendation or advice. Please do your own research. Trading is risky. With that, I hope you have a safe and profitable trading week. There's some data this week, PCE on Friday. So there is some event risk. I also think there's Fed speakers, so you want to keep that in mind. And tariffs. So keep your eyes open. Yeah, I wish you a safe and